Good evening. Welcome to the Montgomery County Board of Education School Board meeting. Today is June 8th, 2025, and the time is now 9 o'clock. The time is now 5 o'clock. July 8th. I'm still trying to vacation. This meeting will now be called to order. First, we'll have Pastor DeHaney Jr. from Morning Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church to provide invocation for us.
Let us pray. Eternal and everlasting God, our Father, we thank you for one more day that you've given us in the land of the living. We thank you, God, for your grace and for your mercy, and most of all, we thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ. And now, God, we ask your blessings on these proceedings. We ask your blessings on this school board. We ask your blessings on this school district. We ask your blessings on this city, on this state, Lord. Have your way in every way. Lord, that you will bless the work of our hands and that everything we do would bring you glory and honor. Bless our students. Bless each child that comes through the doors of our schools, that you would have your way, that you would enhance their learning, that you would increase their skills, that you would give them what they need to make it in today's world. God, we thank you in advance for all that you're going to do. We thank you in advance for your blessings. We thank you for just all that you've done and all that you're doing and all the things we know that you're going to do. Bless us now and we will be blessed. Keep us and we will be kept. And this is your servant's prayer. And I pray this prayer in the only name that really matters. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Let everyone say amen.
Thank you, Pastor DeHaney. At this time, we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. At this time, we have a quorum. There needs to be a slight modification to the agenda, so I'll hand it over to Dr. Byrd.
Yes. Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, and I apologize for the error, but I would like to have superintendent remarks right after the board president remarks, if that is okay with the board.
Is that okay? All right. So is there a motion to approve the agenda, adding the superintendent's remarks after the board president remarks? Is there a motion?
Madam President, I move that we approve the agenda with the addendum.
Is there a second?
I second it.
It has been motioned and second. All those in favor do so by showing of hands. It's unanimous. Our next order of business is the board president remarks, so I'll keep mine short and sweet. The board attended the Alabama Association of School Boards conference back in June, which is why June is in my mind. And it was a most eventful and opportunity to grow as a board. And all boards throughout the state attend this conference. And there were many things that we touched on from Title 11, making sure we knew that, and various legislative policies that are coming down the pipe that will impact education and things to just look out for and to get ourselves in order. But I will say, and I hope Dr. Mackey watches this because I seldom, have an opportunity to say his name, but he gave a very profound update on the state of the Alabama school system. And one of the several highlights is that we're doing good as a state in both literacy and math. And we're moving at a fast pace in Alabama, and I think that our data is moving along in track with what's happening throughout the state. But there was one particular phrase that stood out as our superintendent and the board does the work. He said you have to be focused when you're doing this work because so many things are changing. You must be focused. You have to have a strategy and you have to invest. Education is continuously changing. There are always new things coming down the pipe, and we always have to be prepared for them. Therefore, we have to invest, making sure that we have the right resources for our students, as well as the right people in place to make sure that they're doing the work for our students. So that concludes my remarks, Mr. Superintendent. So I will now pass it to you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. And of course, well, good afternoon to everyone that's here on today. Let me just say that it has been a great 2 weeks since the last time that we've met. But I would like to highlight a few updates that we've been able to accomplish over the last 2 weeks. First off, I had the opportunity to attend Montgomery Public Schools summer graduation. And let me tell you that it was a wonderful celebration on this morning. We had about 30 students that had the opportunity to walk across the stage. They were represented from Carver High School, JAG High, McIntyre, BTW Magnet, Percy Julian. They walked across the stage in their regalia to receive their diplomas, and we're incredibly proud of each of them for their hard work and perseverance in not giving up. Again, a big thank you to our wonderful employees and also our speaker, Miss Monica Whiting, who is the CEO of Montgomery Housing Authority, for delivering such an inspiring message. And I would just like to say again, especially to our employees for working so hard. We know that a lot of our employees, of course, are at conferences or they're on a vacation, but a big thank you to all of them for pulling together such a wonderful graduation program on this morning. I'm truly thankful for them. Also, would just like to talk about some money, some additional funds that are actually coming to Montgomery Public Schools. I'd like to announce that Montgomery Public Schools has been awarded a $400,000 GAP grant funding to support special education. So we're so proud of them. So, so this grant funding, of course, it was a collaborative effort between federal programs and special ed. This funding will directly benefit Darrata Elementary School and Von Road Elementary School, which each school receiving about $200,000 to support and expand their specialized instructional programs and services for students with disabilities. MPS was the only school district in the state to receive 2 individual school awards and to be granted the maximum allowable amount per school during the first round of the grant applications. Yeah. So as we know, this exceptional accomplishment, it reflects the strength and the quality of our proposal and the vision for an inclusive environment. So through this grant, our schools will be able to purchase and implement the Touch Math curriculum, which includes resources for our special education classrooms, sensory regulation spaces to support emotional and behavior needs, instructional manipulatives and adaptive equipment, professional development for all of our staff, as well as installation and integration of support that would actually contribute to the long-term impact for our students here at Montgomery Public Schools. Again, we are so incredibly proud of our teams who made this happen. So again, thank you so much, special education programs. Thank you so much, federal programs. Thank you all so much for the hard work. Also, would like to announce that our transitional team formation and planning, that it is well underway. I would like to thank you all for submitting the names for individuals to serve on the superintendent's transitional team, and I'm so excited about the work of this transitional team. As you all know, the goal of the transitional team is to bring together a team of experts from inside and outside to spend time reviewing the major components of the MPS system. This includes our daily work and our priorities. The key priorities that I'm asking the transitional team to focus on would include communication and stakeholder engagement. It would include student achievement and chronic absenteeism. It would include school climate and culture. And last but certainly not least, human resources and talent development. The team will engage stakeholders to deeply understand our opportunities as well as our challenges. This will result in my having a deeper understanding of our strengths and how we can build upon the challenges that we must overcome. This team, they will offer short-term and long-term recommendations for the superintendent and this board to consider. Again, I am so excited about this list of about 50 individuals that will serve, and we're also excited to have Dr. Sheila Austin, who's the retired dean of Auburn University, let me say that, and also Dr. Walton Gosselin, who's also our National Superintendent of the Year, as well as the current Superintendent of Jefferson County Schools, to serve as our chair and vice chair. So on Wednesday, July the 16th, we'll have our initial planning meeting, and from there, the work will begin. Again, I'm so excited about the work of this transitional team. Last but certainly not least, Montgomery Public Schools has received district-wide Columnia accreditation. Okay. We are all proud of the entire MPS team for their hard work and dedication in making this happen. Thank you, board members, for your active participation, for your guidance, and your support throughout this accreditation process. Your engagement was instrumental in demonstrating our collective vision and capacity for sustained improvement. This achievement reflects not only where we are as a district, but where we are headed. Together, we will continue building on this momentum to ensure every student in Montgomery Public Schools receives a high-quality, equitable, and future-ready education. So again, thank you all so much for this opportunity to share these updates. I look forward to sharing more with you during our work session. Again, thank you all. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Byrd. I don't know if any board members wanted to say anything. Dr. Keith?
Just, I wanted to comment, did you say July 18th?
July 16th.
July 16th?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry if I said 18. I was thinking about my birthday.
Yeah, we know.
That's a hint.
Our next order of business will be board recognitions. Ms. Jade Jones, Mrs. Jade Jones.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Byrd, and board members. It's an honor tonight to bring forth an extraordinary educator who proudly works at Vaughn Road Elementary. Tonight we have Miss Destiny Ford, who was recently named as the Air Force Association Chapter Teacher of the Year by the Civil Air Patrol. Please help me welcome Mrs. Nakia Jackson, who proudly serves as the principal at Vaughn Road, along with the Montgomery Chapter of Air and Space Forces Association, Mr. Scott Key, who serves as the president, and vice president for aerospace education, Ms. Susan Mallett. Now I will turn it over to Mrs. Nakia Jackson and Ms. Ford. Let's welcome them up.
All right, good evening. As Ms. Jones has said, I am the principal at Vaughn Road Elementary School, and I would like to take this evening to introduce our partners in ed here, the president of the Montgomery Chapter Air and Forces Association, President Scott Key, and Vice President Susan Mallett.
Thank you so much. Little known fact, the Air Force Association was started in 1945 and the Air Force was created in 1947. So we've had air power advocates following World War II that have been pushing for air power. It has evolved over time to be the Air and Space Forces Association, and we have a genuine interest in making sure that STEM education is out there. I was telling Destiny that when I was in high school, I took algebra and the smartest girl in the room took home ec, because that's the way the world was divided at that time. And she's now a PhD in something that I can't pronounce, and I'm not. So for us to be able to recognize people that are out there doing the STEM education role in today's environment and doing it with a smile and the attitude that I've had a chance to be with Ms. Destiny, with the Air Force Association, now the Air and Space Forces Association, is happy to be a part of this recognition. Susan?
Thank you for having us tonight. I am a proud retired educator from Montgomery Public Schools, 31 years.
Wow.
Teacher and a principal, so I really love the organization. I've been 19 years at Civil Air Patrol's national headquarters at Maxwell. So I volunteer with Scott with the Montgomery chapter of the Air and Space Forces Association, and we have some great STEM programs that can help supplement the things that you're already doing in this awesome school system with accreditation, the great move toward math and reading literacy. So we've got Cyber Patriot, which is a cybersecurity competition for young people in middle and high schools. And we have Stellar Explorers, which is a space design program for young people in middle and high schools as well. So we have educator grants, $500 educator grants that any teacher in your school system can apply for beginning in mid-September, and I'll give the information to Destiny and Jay and the team so we can get that going there. But we also have a Teacher of the Year program. We start with the chapter Teacher of the Year. That can move to the state and then to the National Teacher of the Year, which is sponsored by Rolls-Royce. So it's a really great program, and we want you to know that we're in your community. We are here to help and support any activities or events or programs that you have in your school, and we want to support that. So as we recognize Destiny today, she's going to get several good prizes. I'd like to tell you a little bit about Destiny. First of all, she's been a 7-year educator, a first-year STEM educator, and we identified her on our first year as being a stellar performer in Montgomery Public Schools. Not only did she get her young people involved, but she got her staff at her school involved. Her gracious principal, Mrs. Jackson, empowered her to do what she needed to do, to have STEM evenings for the community and the parents, which is so important, and we're so proud of her. So we've named her our chapter Teacher of the Year. She has her pen already on, and she gets a pad folio here with an AFA pen. There is, Miss Jackson, there is this decal for your school to say that you're an Aerospace Forces Association school. And she gets a free membership as a Civil Air Patrol Aerospace Education member. With that, and Miss Jackson has gotten that too. Thank you, Destiny. I'm sorry, I'll pick those up here. She and Miss Jackson both got complimentary memberships, and with these memberships, teachers get free airplane flights over their school. We hope to see them when school starts, and the media covering all of you. Free STEM kits, grants, and K through 6, K through 12 programs and curriculum and such. So all that's available for everyone at your school system as well as you, dear Destiny. And I'd like to give you this plaque, and I think Mr. Key has something even better to give you than this nice plaque to honor you. We'll let you.
Thank you.
Mr. Key.
Plaques are not, your cash is king. On behalf of the Aerospace Forces Association, we have a $500 grant for Destiny to use, and that's a continuation
Awesome.
Thank you for allowing us to honor her tonight. We appreciate all of you do. Thank you. Would you like to say something?
Yes, I would just like to say thank you for this is a huge honor to accept. I love doing STEM. I hope to continue it next year and the years to come. Madam President, if you all will join us, the board and Dr. Byrd. And we'd like to say congratulations again to Ms. Ford. That is awesome. Great job.
Oh, we're going back.
At this time, Ms. Cloud would like to make some remarks, then Ms. Portis.
I just wanted to say to Ms. Millette, you have shown and you've walked the walk and talked the talk throughout your whole career. I've known you for a very long time. You started with a small plane that was built, and you put it at Head Elementary, and that's where the love for aviation came to those students, and you have continued to bring that forth for all of our students. We so appreciate the partnership. Thank you.
To Miss Jackson and Miss Ford and my Vaughn Road family, they're one of my favorite elementary schools. And Miss Ford has just brought a different light. I call myself creative, but when you have programs that nobody wants to miss, you know, Addie says, Grandma, Miss Ford is having a big program tonight. We have to be on time. And I have never seen children that excited to do things, and parents. She taught them how to make scars on their hand for blood, and then told them what theaters use it. And they were like, oh, well, we could be this. And we just the opportunity to open up. And those are the kind of programs, those are the kind of education opportunities that these students need, and they need it from our young staff. So anything that we can do to support you and your ideas, we know you think out of the box. I'll explain it to them. You just tell us what you need, because she has a very creative mind, but it touches the heart of children. And Ms. Jackson, I want to thank you for opening your door, your heart, and your mind to let her go and let her do what she does best. And we'll thank you, and we always support you.
Thank you. At this time, our next agenda item is scheduled public comments. I'll read the rules and procedures for that, for the participation in the board meeting. Public comments requests must be made in advance in writing to the superintendent's office by 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday preceding the meeting date. Requests must have, there are none, so I can stop. All right, any citizen signed up, Miss Hart? Do we have citizens? No, okay, well, we'll move right along. At this time, we'll have Chad Anderson with Carver High School's turf and track change order.
Good evening, Dr. Byrd, Ms. Watkins-Smith, Ms. Portis, and members of the board. What's coming before you tonight is the turf and track change order. This is due to an unforeseen condition. Once the existing rubber track surface was removed, they had to come in and then, of course, get a look at and analyze the existing subbase. And this is what the change order is in reference to. We still are under the budgeted amount, so I feel good about that portion, but it was more than the contingency would allow, so that's why this is coming to you tonight for approval.
Are there any questions? All right, I guess I'll ask one on behalf
Yes,
of
ma'am.
my board member. How soon, you said there's no delay, so they are still on track?
Oh, yes, ma'am. We're doing the proof roll tomorrow over there for the base. It has been slowed down a little bit with the weather, but they've been working on other pieces of it with that. Had to pour the concrete curb around the inside that wasn't put on in the initial construction. But the goal is to have the field ready for the kids to practice on by the start of school. So.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any other questions? All right, thank you. Our next agenda item is from Ms. Pamela Watkins, May 2025 fiscal statement.
Good evening, Superintendent Dr. Byrd, Board President Watkins-Smith, members of the board. You should have before you this evening the financials for the month of May, which would be the end of the 7th month of the fiscal year. In your packet, you will have the explanation of financial data by the CSFO, which provides some highlights, and I'll go through those here shortly. You also have a snapshot analysis, which is an overview summary of the district's financial position as of May 2025. That highlights our local revenues, payroll expenditures compared to the prior year, as well as our general fund balances, all at a glance. You also have the general fund balance recap, which breaks down our general fund balance and recaps that information. Have your monthly percentages. As stated, May is the end of the, I think I said 7th, but that's actually the end of the 8th month, which means that our expenditures should be at about 67-68%. You also have the monthly and annual comparative statements. That is a comparison of our revenues to the prior period during the same time from fiscal year 24 and 25, and also a comparison of our expenditures for May of 2024 to May 2025. Additionally, you have the statement of cash flow, which actually shows our expenditures for the month of May, as well as our revenues that were received for the month of May. You have a visual of that and a pie chart, and then you have our F reports. Those reports are generated from the State Department. Monthly, we're required to upload our financial data to the State Department and produce the reports that you should see at the end of your financial packet. As I go back a little bit, in our financials, I do want to highlight a couple of things. I try to address things that might pop out to anybody looking at it. And one of the things that I didn't want to mention this year is that you will, this month, is that you'll notice that the general fund balance, if you look at our cash flow report, you'll notice that the general fund collected in the month of May was $19.4 million compared to $21.9 million in the prior year. The variance in that collection or those revenues are actually reflective of state revenues that we have received this year but received in a different period. So when I look back over that, those were our math grants for summer school, our OSR funds. So last year, those funds were received in a different period than they were received in this year. The expenditures are tracking about the same, $23.3 million compared to $23.4 million in the prior year. When we look at the snapshot analysis, you'll see that our total payroll expenditures compared to the prior year are a little bit higher than last year. However, those two are timing differences. There were supplements that we actually paid in May of this year, but we paid them in June last year. So that's the majority of the difference in those expenditures, payroll expenditures. You'll see that our general fund balance is at $121 million, about a $9 million increase over the prior year, and our required one-month fund balance before amendments is currently $23.9 million. If we go to the next screen and look at our general fund balance recap, although our general fund balance is $121 million, you'll see that a lot of those funds are actually reserved to specific funding sources. You'll notice that our transportation, meaning that those funds can only be spent on transportation, is a little bit over $7 million. You'll see our state summer reading program is $1.3 million, just to kind of pull out a few of those. Those funds can only be spent on those funding sources. Our state foundation is currently at about $8 million, meaning those funds can only be spent on our foundation expenditures, meaning that our local general fund balance of unreserved to specific fund sources is about $91.9 million. Briefly, I want to state one of the things that I know is probably a concern are the federal funds that are actually on hold right now. And the communication that we receive is that those funds have been appropriated, but they're frozen pending federal review. There's no anticipation that we will not receive those funds. So hopefully the review of those funds will move pretty swiftly, and they'll be made and released to us in the near future. Any questions?
Are there any questions? Thank you, Ms. Watkins. All right, our next agenda item is the Montgomery County Board of Education Board Goals. Ms. Pamela Cloud.
Good evening. Dr. Doremus Coleman and I were charged to be on the board's goals committee. I'm reporting on that. Of course, Dr. Coleman's not here, so I'm doing this by myself tonight. We began our work in January of this year. We were charged the task of clarifying what the Montgomery County Board of Education goals were to be for our superintendent, Dr. Byrd. This should drive what we hope to see and expect. We reviewed the CMSI curriculum audits focus areas for the MPS school system that was completed in August of '23, and the Alabama Governor Ivey's Commission on Teaching and Learning report that was completed in December of 2023. Governor Ivey's executive order number 730, known as the Alabama Can Improve Student Achievement and Enhance Teacher Quality in Every Public School. This document recommends 4 components. They are quality teaching and learning, support of high poverty, low performing schools, data collection and accountability, and then educator recruitment, retention, and development. These recommendations align with the recommendations of the MPS curriculum audit and Dr. Byrd's 100-day plan, so we're on the correct path. You have in front of you the Montgomery County Board 2025 Board Goal Recommendations to adopt. There are 5 goals. 1, district vision and accountability. Goal 2, curriculum. Goal 3, consistency and equity. Goal 4, feedback. And Goal 5, productivity. We can write something all day long, but it's the execution that counts. So we're asking that this be approved. Please let Dr. Coleman or myself know if you have any questions or further recommendations. This is a working document, but we've got to set the goals for the execution of the plan. Thank you on behalf of Dr. Coleman and myself.
Thank you, Ms. Cloud and Dr. Coleman. You guys worked diligently on this for us, and I was looking at a document, and I may have misplaced it now, but from Dr. Coleman, and she probably doesn't remember it, but she gave it to me as you all were doing the work. She says, as we evaluate our policies and communicate those to the community, we must clearly articulate the difference between policy rhetoric and our practice reality. So that was just paraphrasing some of the things that she shared. So we thank you so much for your work on behalf of the board. Our next agenda item will be the AASB All-State School Board Member 2025 nomination. And this is just a review or overview of what was sent. So we have an official nomination form that must be used to submit nomination, which has to be received by August 15, 2025. And the committee will base its decision solely upon the nomination form and 3 letters of recommendation. Basically, they're asking us to look at the activities of the board member, their boardmanship, their training, their leadership and participation in local education and board-related activities, describe their activism on legislative and or issues pertaining to K-12 schools, and describe nominees' involvement in community activities, as well as has the nominee ever been the subject of an ethics complaint. And lastly, there are the letters of recommendation, a photograph, and documentation of this nominee who will be sent to AASB for consideration. Are there any questions about it? I do have the document for each of you, but if you wanted to look over it, I can provide that. The nominations will come later as we kind of mule through who we feel would be a best fit. Are there any questions? All right, hearing none, we will now move to consent agenda. Dr. Byrd.
Okay. Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, Superintendent recommends approval of the consent agenda, which includes 12A, Carver High School's turf and track change order, 12B, May 2025 financial statement, 12C, your June 10th, 2025 revised regular board meeting, and June 10th, 2025 revised work session minutes, and also 12D, your bid report. Superintendent recommends approval of items 12A through 12D.
All right, the superintendent has made a recommendation on the consent agenda for items A through D. Is there a motion?
Madam President, I move that we approve the consent agenda items A through G.
All right, there's a motion to approve items A through D. Is there a second?
Yes, I second it.
All right, it has been motioned and second, although, is there any discussion?
Did you say D or G?
D as in dog.
Oh, I said G.
I heard you.
I wanted to make sure it was, I want to get that right.
I called it.
Okay.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of the superintendent's recommendation do so by a showing of hands. It is unanimous. All right, Dr. Byrd.
Thank you, Madam President. Superintendent recommends approval of item 13A, personnel report, certified personnel.
The superintendent has made a recommendation. Is there a motion?
I make the motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation of the personnel report, certified personnel.
So I'm going to ask you to repeat your motion and say that you move to.
I move to accept the superintendent's personnel report, certified personnel.
Is there a second?
I second.
It has been motioned and second, although, is there any discussion? All those in favor do so by a showing of hands. It's unanimous. Dr. Byrd?
Thank you. Superintendent recommends approval of the personnel report, certified addendum.
All right, the superintendent has made a recommendation for the personnel report certified addendum. Is there a motion?
I move to accept the personnel report, certified addendum, the superintendent's.
Is there a second?
I second it.
It has been moved and second. All those in favor do so by a showing of hands. It is unanimous. Dr. Byrd?
Thank you. Superintendent recommends approval of item 13C, personnel report, classified personnel.
The superintendent has made a recommendation to approve the personnel report classified personnel. Is there a motion?
I move to accept the superintendent's recommendation to approve the personnel report classified.
Is there a second?
I second it.
All right, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor do so by a showing of hands. It is unanimous. Dr. Byrd?
Thank you. Superintendent recommends approval of the personnel report teams.
All right, the superintendent has made a recommendation to approve item D, personnel report teams. Is there a motion?
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation on teams.
Is there a second? It has been motioned and seconded. All those in favor do so by a showing of hands. All right, Dr. Byrd?
Thank you. Superintendent recommends approval of the Montgomery County Board of Education Policy Committee.
Oh, thank you for that one.
I'm sorry.
And I'll, if you know, I will retract that. But no, I'm gonna let you, because that one has to come from me. So at this time, our policy committee, and I just wanted to go over it really quickly. And Ms. Ford, may I see you? I didn't get myself a copy. So this policy committee will be charged with cultivating, working with different entities. And board members, by the way, we can make recommendations for, provide names of people we'd like to serve on these committees as well. But the committee is to cultivate a school environment that is equitable, inclusive, culturally responsive, and grounded in restorative justice. The work will center around ensuring that every policy we review or recommend reflects those core values and supports the success of all students, regardless of background, identity, or circumstances. And it will be guided by, of course, our legislative laws, and we will also talk, we ask that the committee look at ensuring that they have strategic partnerships to inform and to provide information and to work collaboratively with, and to align with best practices. So that is, for the most part, the whole purpose and vision of the committee. So at this time, Dr. Byrd, I'll do this one.
Yes, ma'am.
But the Montgomery, I'm making a recommendation that we approve the Montgomery County Board of Education Policy Committee.
I second it.
Is that, okay, I'm just making a recommendation. You're moving it?
I move that we accept the policy recommendation.
All
And
right.
I second it.
All right, it's been moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor do so by a showing of hands. It is unanimous. And the next one is the AASB All-State School Board Member 2025 nomination. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one. Board goals, letter F. So at this time, I will make a motion for the school, a recommendation to approve the Montgomery County Board of Education Board goals. Is there a motion?
Madam President, I move that we approve the MCBOE board goals.
Is there a second? It has been moved and second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor do so by showing of hands. It is unanimous. All right, now AASB All-State School Board Member 2025 nomination. At this time, the floor is open for nominations. If not, I'll start. I would like to nominate Ms. Portis.
I'll second it.
All right. Ms. Portis is being nominated for the All-State School Board Member 2025 nomination. It has been, that is my recommendation. Dr. Keith has moved.
I move that we accept your recommendation for the illustrious Ms. Portis to be our representative.
And I second it.
It has been moved and second. All those, is there any discussion, excuse me? All those in favor do so by a showing of hands. All right, thank you. Did you catch it? It is unanimous. At this time, just a little humor, at this time, this board meeting is now adjourned. This work session is now being called to order. We continue to have a quorum. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Madam President, I move that we approve the agenda.
All right,
I second it.
it has been motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor do so by showing of hands. It is unanimous. All right, our next agenda item will come from Mr. Czar with Volker.
Good evening, Dr. Byrd, Madam President, members of the board. It's my pleasure to give you the Volker monthly update on the capital improvement program. We've made good progress on several projects in the past month, first of which being the Phase 1 of the Percy Julian High School, the Todd Road relocation. Seen in yellow there, it was tying the existing Todd Road into the boulevard. That way we clear the old Todd Road out of the site and make room for our building footprint. Project's about 80% complete. You see there the aerial photo of the new Todd Road tying into the boulevard. We went in front of the City Planning Commissioning group last month and got approval on both the vacation and dedication of the new road. And this project will actually be complete this month. Went one too far. Here are photos from the boulevard. The remaining work is actually in the median, making these turn lanes, pouring concrete curbs. This work, since these photos have been taken, has actually been complete. So there's asphalt pavement in the turn lane, and the concrete curbs have been poured. And like I said, this project will be complete this month. The next project is the Phase 2 of the actual Percy Julian High School. Last month, our notice to proceed was released to the contractor. So he's been out there mobilizing, moving dirt. A lot of the site has been cleared. We have our job site trailers on site, construction entrance, And if you've been on the boulevard, you can see just how quickly we're moving along out there. Some of the progress that's going on, like I said, a lot of the clearing of the site, demolition of the existing structures, a lot of the erosion control, silt fencing, dewatering of the site, all that's happening and ongoing on the site. Here's a few aerial photos. The one on the left shows where our job site trailers are, directly behind that gas station off the boulevard. Our construction entrance has been installed, and the photo on the right shows the demolition of the existing structures that were on site. More aerial photos to just give you an idea of how large the site is and also how wet the site is. So most of the progress is just moving dirt right now and getting the water off site. Next project is the Park Crossing Field House. We're about 98% complete there. This slide says that our substantial completion inspection will be scheduled. It has been scheduled for the 28th of this month. That'll have the state inspector come down, which is pretty much the final checkbox that we have to get. So the kids will be in this building for the 25-26 school year. Sorry. Some of the progress, we are finished with this overhead inspections. Like I said, the only inspection left is that final inspection with the state. We've had our furniture and weight room equipment be delivered and installed, and Chad's internal crew has been out there and installed some beautiful wall and floor graphics for us. Here's photos of the furniture, coach's office on the left, study lounge on the right. Here's the main entry with the wall graphics I mentioned. Coming in, the left side is the conference room. In the hallway here, you see a big trophy case that we know in future years will be full. More photos with the team film room on the left, the locker room on the right. Here's a shot of the weight room with the weight equipment that actually has the school logos on most of the equipment. It's all in the school colors, so it looks real nice. The next project is the South Lawn Middle School Gym Addition. Project's about 68% complete. We're currently reviewing a time extension request that was due to unforeseen circumstances. Some of the progress ongoing on site is the roof installation. Window installation has commenced. Exterior doors are being installed. So we're working to close the building in. Next week, we hope to have our HVAC units powered on. So that'll allow cold air to be moving through the building, which will really free up the finishes and things to come inside. Our DCM above ceiling inspection was held yesterday, and everything went well and passed. Here's a photo showing the hard tile at the locker rooms. Since this photo, we've also started going vertical with the wall tile as well. This photo shows the window installation. Like I said, we're working to enclose the building, get the HVAC and air moving, which will really free us up for things to follow. Here's a shot from inside the gym. We've had the basketball goals and scoreboards be installed, and with the air getting turned on, we'll be able to install the floor, install the bleachers after that, and start to look like a finished product. Our minority participation to date, on the professional service side, we're about 45%. On the construction side, we're at 4%. I think this slide should say questions. There it is.
Mr. Czar,
Yes,
this is, just girly, but I'm on the South Lawn Middle. Will y'all be painting that concrete block?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay, just checking.
Absolutely. And it'll actually have an accent band that
Okay.
runs through it too. So,
Okay.
and it'll be all school colors, and we've worked with staff and principals. So,
Are there any questions? I do have one. You mentioned that there were some things that were unforeseen. I just wanted to know, would that have, what type of effect would that have on the completion date of the project? Will there?
Yes, ma'am. So some of the unforeseens were in the roof system and also a water line and gas line that had to be relocated. It has, the request has came for several days to be extended on the contract, and we're reviewing and currently discussing with the architect team, and we'll be discussing more with you guys in the next month on that.
Okay.
I have one more question.
Go ahead.
On the Percy Julian Todd Road,
Yes, ma'am.
at one time y'all gave us a figure of what that, because we were not anticipating that cost. Do you offhand have, like a ballpark figure of what that Todd Road cost us that we weren't expecting?
Yes, ma'am. It was around 2 million,
Okay.
and that was factored into the Percy Julian High School budget.
Okay.
So we just broke it out as a separate project to be able to have DCM approval and get the ball rolling on there. But
Okay.
the money was accounted for in the Percy Julian budget.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Are there any additional questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next agenda item will be from Mrs. Huntley with the MPS Library Media Specialist Handbook.
I get the opportunity to stand before you and share with you some of our library media handbook updates. It has been a minute since the library has been before you to talk about updates. The state handbook has recently been updated this past December, and that handbook had not been updated since 2008. So we're thankful for that update. That also now guides what we are able to do here in Montgomery Public Schools. And so our handbook, which had last been updated in 2015, is now up for discussion. And we'd like to just look at a few basic things that we would want to address as we move forward. We know that our handbook quantify and to speak to what we are doing here in our district as library media specialists and what the expectation is for our library media specialists to impact our students with the learning. And so the handbook now should reflect a little more of what we do that is more relevant than just checking out the books. We call ourselves Library 2.0.
All right.
Because there's something new on the horizon.
Great. All right.
One of the things that our state handbook speaks to are now called exemplary library programs. And so I've been speaking with the library media specialists, and that our verbiage will change, and we are now exemplary libraries. And our handbooks reflect what exemplary libraries look like. One of those things is that school libraries, they are essential to our learning communities. That school libraries need to have certified librarians in them. That the learners will be prepared for college and life and career. That literacy is the core of our academic competency, and that information technology is going to be integrated, and our libraries will reflect that. On this slide, you will see that our libraries have evolved, and Mr. Chad Anderson has done a fantastic job of making sure that our libraries have modernized and are updated and have STEM equipment and podcasting units, and all of the things are there. And we're updating with ebooks and digital resources, and we all have computers in our libraries. And so what we would like is that as our libraries have moved technologically, and as our libraries are looking on the exterior like modern facilities, that our academic expectation also reflect that. So one of the things that we would like the new handbook to reflect is that there are 3 key sections environment looks like so that our students and our faculty and even our community has access to literacy and all of the important components of a relevant and integral library media center. And section 3 is library management and how we administer those libraries. That is collection development and how we advocate for what we do. That we do not want our libraries to be pushed to the back burner as just mere housing places for books. We are relevant and essential to the academic progress of our students in Montgomery Public Schools. Mic not on, I'm sorry. I was using my teacher voice this whole time. Forgive me. In our handbook, you will also find that we have, this is just one example, but there are learner outcomes that are going to be placed all the way through that handbook so that our administrators and building leaders know what the expected outcomes for the learners in our media centers should have. Also, we have rubrics for what the library media specialist expectations are. Our library media specialists have clear, defined roles, responsibilities, and expected outcomes. So our previous board policy was really simple. It's policy 7.3, and it spoke to the audiovisual materials and making certain that equipment was available to our faculty and our students. And what we'd like to do is sort of address a few of those things and add some little touches to our policy to make it more relevant to 2025. One of the things is that it addresses equal and maximum access for information resources for our students, that instruction for our students will be given priority for research skills and independent thinking and learning, that our students will be motivated to read and encouraged to enjoy good literature, and that we are going to encourage our students to use a variety of media, that is digital media, print media, and technology, so that they become lifetime learners. We want to make certain that we add that each of our schools in MPS will maintain library media centers under certified library media specialists in coordination with the district media specialists and an alignment with our accreditation standards. We will be up for accreditation next year, so we want to make certain that we have all of those ducks in a row. It is the responsibility of our library media specialist and our school board to ensure that the instructional materials within our centers are appropriate. We'd also like to make certain that we ensure that though we recognize individual schools have different needs and there may be some variations in different school needs, there are some continuities that exist within each of our libraries, and they have commonalities, such as equal access to the information, provision of supplementary material that enhances the curriculum, the integration of information skills, collaboration with the teachers, and instructional material is provided in those buildings, motivating activities to encourage our students to enjoy and participate in good literature, and providing all of our children with access to current technology. Finally, the Montgomery County School System library media specialists and teachers should collaborate to ensure that our students have adequate and equal access to the library and its collection. Those are a few of the updates. On the first page of the presentation, you should have access to our updated state handbook and the suggested updates for our MPS handbook.
Thank you, Ms. Huntley. Are there any questions There's Ms. Cloud.
Huntley, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. On page 8, you have 2 positions that you need to fill at JAG. That's both librarians?
Those positions have been filled.
Okay. You have 3 elementary.
Yes, ma'am.
Have they been filled yet?
All of them have not been filled. We
Okay,
do
and then
have
you got
some.
McKee Middle.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just want to make sure we have everybody in place. Now, on page 49, request for reconsideration of library instructional materials. What's reconsideration? Why not just consideration?
Challenge materials, reconsideration. If there's something that we need to look at that someone deems inappropriate in our
I got you.
so we need to reconsider if that needs to be on
I
our shelves.
understand now. Thank you for
Yes, ma'am.
clarifying that. And then the last question is the library volunteer guidelines. I love this. Could our students, especially in middle and high school, maybe elective to work in the library, that may be to help get them to understand what teaching is about and what library, to encourage those students to get involved in library media education, to kind of wet their whistle?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Currently,
I would
I'm
like
sorry.
to see some of these students, maybe especially in middle school and high school, to be having that opportunity to volunteer in the library.
Yes, ma'am. Currently, our secondary, which is the middle and the high, have the opportunity to use library as one of their courses.
Thank you.
So our middle school typically will have even those library aides, is what we call them. Those library aides will also help them and function as tech aides as well.
That's what I was hoping, that with technology being so involved, you have those kids that know it with like the back of their hand.
They do.
Thank you. I think that's wonderful that these children have the opportunity to volunteer. It really is important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Portis has a question.
Thank you so much. Are the learner outcomes, are these outcomes mandated by the state?
Yes, ma'am, they are.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? All right, thank you, Ms. Huntley.
Thank you.
All right, our next agenda item will come from Dr. Byrd with the Superintendent's 100-day plan update.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Madam President and board members. First, I would like to thank you all for the opportunity to speak during this work session on the progress of our 100-day entry plan. Let me say that it has been an amazing 2 months, and I'm extremely grateful for this opportunity. Over the last 2 months, I've had the opportunity to meet and work alongside some incredible coworkers who are working hard to give our students and families what they deserve. I'm excited about our path forward and how we can collaborate with all stakeholders to truly make MPS a place of excellence for all of our students. Okay, yes, sir. Okay, I know we have a long way to go in this work session, and I have 47 action items in my 100-day plan, so I'm going to try and move quickly and make this short and sweet. So let's dive into phase 1, which is listening and learning. So listening and learning tours are still ongoing due to town halls that I would like to schedule and also more schools to visit. Since I started on May the 1st, there simply wasn't enough time to start the town halls or visit all of the schools while they were in session. However, in moving into the school year, I would like to conduct a town hall meeting in each board member's district and also ask for that particular board member to join me. If possible, I would get with each of you to schedule these. And this listening and learning tour is also tied to our family and community engagement action item as well. Okay. As we look at school board collaboration, let me say thank you all for the opportunity to meet with each of you. And I look forward to our continued conversations, face-to-face conversations, over the phone conversations, text message conversations, you have it, and also through our board connections. As we talk about feedback opportunities, As part of our 100-day plan, we've launched a series of surveys for employees and parents to gather their perspectives and opinions regarding the support and the activities that we provide in Montgomery Public Schools. As of this week, this data has been analyzed, and we're getting ready to make this data public. We're also meeting with departments to explain the results as it relates to their departments, and we're also developing action plans to address the data. Our middle and high school students will have the opportunities to share their feedback upon their returns. Our Student Advisory Council, our communication department has created an action sheet with an email invitation and application, and the communication department is also developing social media graphics for review. These items, along with the application, will be launched in August with an anticipated first student council meeting in September. And I'm definitely excited about that. As we talk about our 100-day progress tracker, this action is completed and it is sitting in draft form awaiting the launch of our new website. Stakeholder engagement and our customer service initiative. We held our initial meeting with Steve Smith on July the 1st, and we're excited to launch this new initiative. Mr. Smith, he actually met with the leadership team to begin crafting a comprehensive plan, and he also led 5 focus groups while he was here in the district. And so that information from the focus group, as well as the information gained from our leadership committee, is being used to shape our goals, our strategies, and our performance metrics for this initiative. The next phase includes drafting the formal implementation plan. It includes designing the district-specific training, which will be led by Mr. Smith, and also includes preparing for a multi-stage rollout aimed at shifting culture, improving service delivery, and strengthening engagement with families and staff. As we talk about our district progress data dashboard and our MPS public information portal, they are both in progress. Arbery, which will host our data dashboard, is ready to push out within the next few weeks. The public information portal will be a part of our new website that will be available in the next few weeks as well. You talk about improved communication and the launch of our new website. The website, as you all know, was already launched. It was ready to launch on last week, but I did ask the communication department to make some additional changes. So the reason why that it's not ready right now is completely my fault. The communication department was ready. They also met with the website designers and hosters on yesterday to make those additional changes that I asked that they make. Student achievement and equity, and also school improvement. I want to say within that, discipline trends of last year's data has been analyzed to inform our support and focus for this upcoming year. Most recently, we received our ACAP third grade scores. Dr. King and his team, they are prepared to speak tonight regarding how we're going to use that data to inform our instruction and our decision making. We're also analyzing data and utilizing research-based strategies from CSI, from our ACEP, and Cognia to inform our school improvement efforts as well. Equity audits. This action is in progress. Handover has been contracted to conduct our district-wide equity audits. These audits will begin at the start of the school year, and a report will be made available for the district and the board. Our financial review, facilities, and infrastructure, they're all completed, and at the same time, they remain in progress. Ms. Watkins, she has completed her budget amendments, which have been submitted to the state as a part of our state requirements. As we know, Mr. Anderson, he completes our annual capital improvement plan, which is again a state requirement. However, because these items are constant and of course they change based on our needs, they remain ongoing. I want to make sure that I'm keeping up with my slides here. Okay. Organizational review. This action also remains ongoing. We have some positions that are being added, some that are being repurposed, and some transfers. So with all of this, this action remains ongoing as well. We host senior cabinet level and legal review meetings constantly, so this also remains ongoing. As you talk about teacher support and new educator support, we are continuing our efforts and launching a variety of supports to include providing teachers with the professional development they need. We're also recruiting retired teachers to assist as mentors, as well as they're going to also provide side-by-side coaching. We have teaching academies that are ongoing, and again, we're going to host a series of professional development opportunities this summer as well as throughout the year. Our employee incentive plan, this action remains in progress as we are still researching funding and certification pathways. As we move into phase 2, which is strategic actions and early wins, as we talk about curriculum alignment, pacing guides, they have been updated for the 2025-2026 school year. Our literacy and math, foundational support, and acceleration will also be addressed in Dr. King's presentation tonight, and targeted professional development for educators, as we mentioned before, is also ongoing and also happening right now. Expanded student pathways. A major priority is to increase and expand our student pathways. We added additional STEAM activities this summer along with acceleration opportunities. Our Ed Tech and our CTE department have created a comprehensive pathway for computer science for our students, and we're also looking to add more with additional dual enrollment opportunities and increasing access to STEAM, gifted, honors, AP, as well as IB. And as we said before, our equity audits, this action, it is in progress. Again, Hanover has been contracted to conduct these district-wide equity audits. As we talk about boost employment recruitment and retention, we're working with HR to implement an alternative certification program for employees, which will allow them to qualify incentives through federal programs. Setting our district goals and the metrics. Clear district-wide goals and key metrics are being established throughout the district and are being added to job descriptions. Measurable goals include a 3 to 5% increase in key areas on our academic report card. As we align our budget with priorities and develop our strategic plan, this action has been completed as it relates to district and state guidelines. However, it remains ongoing because it will be part of our strategic planning process. And during our strategic plan process, we will ensure that key priorities are aligned and addressed in the budget. Leadership development, progress monitoring, accountability standards, and recognition programs are all in progress. In fact, we're gearing up for a leadership retreat in the next few weeks for our administrators that will cover a series of professional development opportunities for principals. At the retreat, we will also cover progress monitoring and reviewing existing data sources that we have, as well as set new accountability expectations and our key metrics. As we move into phase 3, future vision and long-term strategy, it includes a 100-day report presentation. Of course, this will take place at the end of our 100 days. Phase 3 includes ongoing stakeholder engagement. This will also be ongoing as we continue to work to engage our stakeholders throughout the year. Responsive feedback will be included in our customer service initiative. And last but certainly not least, clear communication of our strategic direction will also remain ongoing as we build out our communication department to include weekly updates of our strategic goals and initiatives. This concludes our 100-day plan overview. Thank you, board members, for your constant support.
Thank you, Dr. Byrd. A very detailed plan, and we appreciate the hard work of you and your staff. Are there any questions, board members?
I have a comment.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I have 3 words, and then I have 1 word.
Okay.
One is no stone unturned, and another one is brilliant. Of all the superintendents that I have either worked under as a teacher for 45 years, or superintendents that I have worked under in this capacity for ongoing 12 years now, I've never had somebody put it like, I just wrote it down. I was, you've got the actual status, who's the lead on it, which shows accountability, then you have, the color-coded status. Where are we? Have we done it? Are we working on it? Whatever. And then the funding source, we've never had that. So kudos. I'm floored. I've kind of looked at this before, and I was like, wow, why haven't we ever thought about that? So you've made the decision for you to be here so much more where I can pat us all on the back. So I appreciate you doing that.
Thank you, Dr. Key. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support.
Ms. Portis.
I have one comment, and I think I know the answer, but Dr. Byrd and Dr. Keith brought up a good point about the funding source. Where the funding sources are blank, especially when it refers to the website and some of the other things, because I remember one of those names, those are programs we've already approved, aren't they?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
we have those.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Are there any other questions? All right. Hearing none, we'll move to our next agenda item from Mr. Jason Isaacs from Federal Programs with an update.
Sorry about that. Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Byrd, fellow board members. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you this evening and tell you some of the good things that are happening, not only in our district, but specifically in federal programs. Our goal in federal programs is several strategic initiatives, but making sure we know that we are coming up on monitoring in the next, not this coming year, but the following year. So we want to make sure from a compliance standpoint that we are focused on that, as well as alignment to a strategic plan that Dr. Byrd just shared. It is our shared goals and alignment as well with state and local funds that federal funds can supplement the different initiatives that the district has. So there's a couple initiatives that I do want to share with you just to keep you updated and knowing what's going on. The first thing is district partnerships. Federal programs, prior to me coming out, one of my goals was we have several other districts in the state that are equal in demographics, size, and capacity to Montgomery County Public Schools. And I was already, in my previous role, trying to reach out and develop those relationships, and we've been able to capitalize on that and start those partnerships. One of them is with Jefferson County Public Schools. We have already gone up there once to discuss parent-family engagement and kind of align, see the different resources that they have going on in their district and how we could bring back different resources to our district and make sure that we're not just spinning our wheels and trying to do something, but partner with other large districts to ensure that we're in alignment not just with ourselves and our goals, but as a state and those larger districts as well. We're looking at reaching out. We've started preliminary with some other districts because we don't want just to be us and one other district. We want to make it, in essence, a coalition with some of the same size districts that we have, because if we can partner together, we can grow and sustain through any challenges that we foresee or don't foresee. The second area that I want to focus on is personnel support, and federal programs appreciates all the support that both the board, cabinet, and other departments have provided to us in the last couple of months in this area. We are bringing on a few compliance monitor positions. One has already started, one is about to start in federal programs, and we're still finalizing the process with a few others. But the goals of those positions, you can see on your handout and on the slide up there that there is a lot of areas to federal programs. It's not very single focused. And then when we start trying to get very single focused, again, it broadens out again. Federal programs is just one of those areas that touches almost everything in a school district. So as you can see there, from compliance to family community engagement to school-wide compliance, one of the goals coming on board that I saw and what these compliance monitors will be able to help with is ensuring that we focus more grade span focused support in the buildings. We know that parent-family engagement is a strategic initiative for the district. We know that making sure that we're doing the items that are required under ESSA and other federal provisions is important. So having these people that can go and give hands-on support to the schools, I feel is strategic. I feel it's also important for us at the district office to be there and to provide that support, and this will be able to do that. Additionally, an area that is also in the strategic plan is school improvement. We know that we receive under Title I school improvement funds, meaning CSI funds, and we want to be very strategic, and I'll get to that in a minute. But one of the people that we're looking to bring on will be assisting from a federal programs perspective, because the state has given lots of different diagnostic and requirements that are now required for each district to have CSI by individual schools. So having someone on the team that can really focus on that, in addition to potential other improvements in the school improvement with school improvement positions, we know that we can strategically target those areas. Additionally, you'll see at the bottom of the slide, 21st century. I know that has been a priority of the district in the past. I know it's a priority of the district now, making sure that we have funding available for our after-school programs, and hopefully one of the people that we're looking to bring on will be able to assist in that capacity as well, and we'll get into more detail in a moment on that as well. So the next part is strategic use of funds. So we know that federal funds has to be supplemental in nature. We can't supplant or pull back, in essence, local and state funds and pay for it with federal. But we can be very intentional and strategic with how we use those funds. So on the left-hand side, you'll see all the funding sources that we do have available in those first two bullets from Title I, School Improvement, Title II, Title III, Title IV, but I do want to focus on the last two bullets. We do have Title I-D, which is our neglected or delinquent program that we do receive funds for that supports those facilities, and we have ongoing relationships with them. Dr. Byrd mentioned earlier, and we appreciate all of your support with that. We did receive, with collaboration, I am very blessed to have been able to partner with Ms. Jackson. Our working together has been very well, or sorry, that's incorrect, but very good, thank you, in the way that we do things, because we don't want to be in silos. We want to work together. It's all federal money. There are all federal regulations, and having federal programs on one side and special ed on another doesn't work. So I've been very blessed to be able to partner with her. It's been a very good relationship, and our hope is that we be able to continue that in the future as well. And that partnership has provided us $400,000 to support those two schools. So again, our goal is not the lowest amount of money that we can receive in federal funds. We want to find the most amount of funds. We want to obtain the most amount that we can. And being the district that received 2 grants in the first one, as well as the highest possible amount, I think shows the dedication of both the special education department and the staff that work in federal programs. We do have a homeless grant as well. It is a competitive grant that is available to us. We are looking, it hasn't been released for this upcoming fiscal year. We are looking to try to also maximize those funds as well. And we're also looking at other possible federal funding sources from 21st Century, which is Title IV Part B, to other possible grants as well. On the slide and in your presentation on the right-hand side, in partnership with finance, we have been able to work together in making sure that we don't supplant our federal funds and that our methodology is still in alignment, but we were able to support Title I schools that are CSI more specifically with our CSI funds. And as you can see on that memo that was written, we were able to change from a 50-50 split to an 88-12 split. So that is what we're trying to do. How can we best leverage our federal dollars to support the students in our buildings? On the administrative set aside for Title I, we're also looking on some strategic changes from support personnel that we've already discussed to technical assistance, which we'll get to in just a second, as well as those partnerships in providing the professional development that our staff in the schools need. And I will finish and then open up for questions with this slide, which is compliance support, because like we've said at the beginning, we know that there is going to be programmatic compliance monitoring coming up, and we want to make sure that we're ready. We have over a year to prepare. I feel that our team that we have and that we have coming on will be able to prepare us for that, but we are trying to be strategic as well with that. We have created new budget templates this year that are more programmatic and friendly to principals and the schools so they can focus on what is it that they need in their building without worrying about function and object codes. We'll handle that in federal programs. And we are looking at different systems to be able to collect our documentation. Right now, we're talking with 806 Technologies for Title I Crate, which would be a depository where we would be able to have the schools upload documents and we'd be able to review it and give feedback in timely manners. We've done it in the past prior to me, but we have been more focused and open up more opportunities for principals to do one-on-one virtual budget support meetings. As the staff in federal programs, a couple of them are in here right now. We're from 8 to 11 and 1 to 4 almost straight with no breaks in between. They're 45-minute sessions that just, I should have changed and did like a 15-minute break in between. I've learned my lesson there. So, and then we're going to continue those virtual support meetings too. We've learned that making sure that the principals have access to us is very important. And I know sometimes it's difficult, at times to understand allowability and some other facts. And we're working on FAQs and other documents too. But it takes time to build out those systems, and we're working to do that. So with that, I will open it up for any questions that you guys might have.
Yes, Ms. Cloud?
Good evening.
Good evening.
When you said the school budgeting that you had to do, that's with the ASIP. That's for their own site, because they're Title I schools, to write their ASIP. That part is with the budget. Is that, I'm trying to clarify for everyone.
Yes, ma'am. That's an excellent question. So the ASIP, which is our continuous improvement plan, is the same document as our Title I school-wide plan. So anything that is in the budget must also be included in the Title I school-wide plan before we can approve it programmatically. So we have been providing guidance with them and sharing best practices, in essence, on how to make sure that their ASIP has those activities in the it's not diagnostic, it's in the strategies portal, Incognia, to ensure that we can approve those budgets. And we're working on a few other things. Those will probably be rolled out for the FY27 budget period, but we want to make sure they have the tools and resources that they need.
How are we coming with some of the schools that are not school-wide schools? Where are we at on that?
Yes, ma'am. Currently in Montgomery Public Schools, all of our schools are school-wide programs except for one of our high schools. We are looking at their poverty percentage, and we are looking at options. And once we have finalized anything, I'll make sure to bring that information to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next agenda item will be Mr. Chad Anderson, Facilities Update.
Good evening, Dr. Byrd, Mrs. Watkins-Smith, Ms. Portis, and members of the board. If you'll look at your spreadsheet with me, and you see the dark gray areas, those are the areas that Volkert has already discussed. I will say the windows at South Lawn Middle are somewhere probably between 85 and 95% complete. Some of those photos were a little aged from what Pate showed earlier, but there's been some great progress on that. They do have the permanent power installed out there, so that's where we're able to turn on those HVAC units and get the building condition where we can do the finishes. I will say in a gymnasium area, there's not nearly as many finishes as what would be in a classroom or regular school setting, so the finishes should go fairly quickly, but the wood flooring does take time to acclimate to the setting or whatever that goes in before you can put that down. The Morning View Elementary HVAC project, We have about 85, 95% of the window frames in. The windows are scheduled to be delivered on Thursday with installation starting quickly thereafter. The metal panels are probably in that 65 to 75% installed on the building. If you drive by the school, you'll see the frontage that's phase one of the project, along with the cafeteria and main office. Phase two, which will happen as school starts, will be the small hallway that connects to the back of the annex. We have all the grids, the ceiling grids in. IT is going to be working on moving their access points into those ceiling grids. Spoke with Mr. Solomon Rafe on that today, and he has a team scheduled to get those access points moved. And then we'll be scheduling the above ceiling inspection to be completed so that we can close up the operation inside the building. After that, everything else will take place outside of the building with the units, the HVAC units. So we'll be, once the above ceiling is completed, we'll start some cleanup already, but we'll finish the cleanup once the above ceiling is completed. And they start putting the drop ceiling in. We want to be able to have our students in that main phase one by the start of school. That's our goal. That's what we're working towards, and the contractor is working nights and weekends. They have weekend schedules set up to make that happen for us, and they've been very aggressive on it. It's moving really, really well. The Davis Elementary HVAC project, again, the contractor went with the prefabricated panels there, so those have a lead time. We should, by the next board meeting, have an update ready for when those panels will be on site and installation will begin. We've been working with the school administrators there, and we have a phasing plan for them, just like we did at Goodwin, like we'll be doing at Morning View to move that project along. We're excited to get that one started and off the ground as well. Park Crossing Turf and Track is complete. They are utilizing that. We'll do the final inspection this next week with that, but the students are already utilizing the turf and track areas of that. The Carver High School turf and track replacement, again, weather, we've been dodging some of the weather with the rain that we've had as far as the excavation. They've completed that. We did get a proof roll date today for tomorrow. So once the proof roll is completed, that's when they can come in and start installing the turf portion of that. They have been working on the concrete curb that goes around the inside of the track so they can nail the ledger board to it, and then also nail the turf to that ledger board. So it's moving very, very quickly with that part. The Forest Avenue roof replacement is currently being advertised. We look to try to bring that to the board for approval at the next board meeting. South Lawn Elementary roof replacement. We still have a little bit of design that's going on there that they're trying to wrap up with some of the elevation changes that are on that building. We should have it going out for advertisement this month as well. Might quite possibly get it to the next board meeting. It may go to the September board meeting. And then the JAG athletics improvements, we do have dates for scheduling on that. They're kind of buttoning up some of the design on that, making a few little tweaks, but we plan on having that advertised in August, and then look to try to bring that to you for the September board meeting as well with that. That'll be a phased approach. We'll do the field portions of that improvement in the back with the baseball, softball field, turf and track for the football, soccer, and track areas there, and we'll also include lighting in that portion as well, a batting facility for the softball and baseball teams as well. We will be able to host softball games at that facility. We'll be able to host track meets at that, so that'll be a nice addition for the area, and that's what we're also working with in athletics with the turf and track replacements we've been able to do around the district. They're pretty strategically located where our middle schools can take part in utilizing some of those turf and tracks for different events that they may have as well. So we look forward to expanding that with all of our groups with that. Questions or?
Are there any questions? Thank you, Mr. Anderson. All right, our next agenda item will come from Ms. Stacy Murray, Parental Paid Leave Policy.
Good
evening, Madam President, Superintendent Byrd, and other board members. This evening, I will review what I believe Ms. Wilson has already provided to you, some preliminary information as it relates to the Parental Paid Leave Act provided in your weekly update. If you need additional information, I'll make sure we get it to you. Again, to review, as of August 2nd, 2025, Governor Ivey signed into law the Paid Parental Leave Act, which requires school districts to develop a policy for us to be guided by and oversee implementation of this act. What the law entails us to do is to assure eligible employees, which is defined by full-time employees who have been employed for at least 12 consecutive months with the school district, that we do allow them to have the paid parental leave time off as it relates to the birth of a child, adoption, or other circumstances as it relates to childbirth. For any female employee, 8 weeks of paid leave is to be granted for the birth of a child or any extenuating circumstances as it relates to childbirth. 2 weeks paid leave for any eligible male for the birth of a child, or 8 weeks paid leave as it relates to any eligible employee for the adoption of a child. The AASB has not yet provided the policy draft for us to use as a guide to develop our policy here at MPS. However, we do anticipate receipt of that draft by July 17th. And then we look to have it passed, our policy passed in August. Any questions?
Are there any questions? All right, thank you so much, Ms. Murray.
You're welcome.
Our next agenda item is Dr. King, the Literacy Plan Overview.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, and Dr. Byrd. As Dr. Byrd mentioned earlier, as part of our improvement process to address most recently our sub-test, ACAP sub-test reading scores, our team developed a literacy targeted action plan for K-3. And this, the goal is to accelerate the foundational reading skills and comprehension proficiencies in grades K-3 to address the 6% decline from our ACAP subtest for our third graders. We also took a look at our second graders as well, because those students are coming up. And we also looked at our cohort data. And I would like to say in our cohort data, we did show some increase in the sufficiency scores. So it is some strategies are working from year to year. However, that does not negate the fact of continuous improvement, and that's also a part of not only the accreditation process, but also according to Dr. Byrd and his 100-day plan and expectations for us moving forward. So in this plan, you actually see, if you read it left to right, basically on this plan, you'll see principal expectations to the left. Without principal involvement as instructional leaders, it's very difficult to actually improve at the school site. So this plan is very intentional in laying out what the expectations are for all of the groups that actually should work in unison in order to address the grade level focus to your right. And when you look at the grade level focus, those are the skills that are necessary in order for those students from the foundational perspective, from the foundation through active engagement with learning to read, and then also reading to learn based on the science of reading. And so also going back to your left, when you look at principal expectation, is actually leading and supporting teachers on Tier 1 instructions. And Tier 1 instruction is where you get the most impact in student achievement, as well as students attaining the necessary skills for them to learn how to read and then read to learn, so that they are constantly meeting the expectations of goals as established by the state, but as well as what our expectations are for every student at every grade level. So also the local reading specialists, all of our, we have leading reading specialists that are actually funded by the state, the ARI law that allows us to have support for our teachers in the classroom. However, it's important that, again, principal leadership as well as our ed specialists that support this work are focused on what are the goals and the outcomes and the strategies that should be taking place in the classroom. So also, if you look at teacher expectations, so we don't only put that work on teachers, even though they are one of the most important in terms of their direct contact with students and the students developing the skills to not only learn to read, but also the love of reading. And so this is the plan overall that you have in front of you. The other thing that we have done in terms of a part of this plan, if you look on page 2, we are aligned with the Alabama Literacy Act expectations, but we had reached out to the state to share, to get their input on our plan so that we can make sure that we can adjust to meet the needs of our students based on the data that we have already seen. I mean, so with this said, this is a very, I would say, aggressive plan, given we haven't received all of our data, but it's well within all of the targeted skills that are needed in order for our students to not only be able to read, but also be able to comprehend. So this is the plan that you'll see throughout, and the grades, if you look to the right, we start at kindergarten, and another important piece about kindergarten that will speak to part of my presentation after this is that making sure that all of our students that are in our preschool programs are kindergarten ready. And kindergarten ready, if they have that foundation, then we could then build on that to make sure those students are reading a lot sooner, so that when they get to first, second, and third grade, you're just seeing continuously read to learn and developing and cultivating that love of reading. So this is our plan, and then also in terms of data, in terms of cultivating that data-driven process on the principal side of the house, that also includes the ARI coaches as well, including our specialists at the central office. So what you see here throughout is threaded through here, and I think Jason spoke to it earlier, is a more collaborative approach to what the improvement process should be. And this also speaks to what Board Member Keith acknowledged about Dr. Byrd in terms of who is responsible and what are their responsibilities and who should lead the work. So clearly, we meet to collectively come up with this plan, and it is a unified approach to be able to not only have expectations for the schools, but actually how do we support them in central office. So you'll see also what Jason spoke earlier about the staffing that we are actually proposing is to be direct service to the schools based on the improvement, based on data. So tier, and part of that process is how we look at data. We look at tier. We tier the data. We tier the schools based on that data, and then we can develop a very targeted support. And that does speak to equity as well, because when you think about, for example, schools that may have non-emergency certified teachers, well, quite frankly, it's more equitable to focus our attention there because they don't have certified teachers. So therefore, we have to think differently about that, and that does have an impact on students developing their reading skills as well as the science of reading. So that is embedded. It doesn't necessarily speak to all of it, but I just wanted to give you what goes into this decision making. And so, and we also have analyzed, or we're analyzing all of our coaching data as well. What we want to see is which coaches also are being effective based upon growth that we are seeing. So we are looking at that. Our team has looked at that 3-year data for since the ARI has been here, and then we're doing that also for math. So you'll see more of a data-informed approach to our school improvement initiatives, and we expect results. So that's it. But we also, with that, comes with the support that's needed, though. And I just wanted to share this with you for this, just to give you an overview of our team. Our team is either on vacation or conferences, but I just wanted to show you the work that we've done so far.
All right, Dr. Keith.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. I wanted to, I love what you've done. I mean, the whole PowerPoint looks great, and as I was reading through some of this, one of the things that what I looked at is your third column where it says teacher expectations,
Sure.
and where it says, where it says provide opportunities for deeper learning to challenge students who demonstrate proficiency and do not exhibit academic deficits.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't think you have a copy of this because it wasn't on. The board members got this, but if you didn't, you might want to look at what the
Yes.
librarian did, because if you look at the learner outcomes, she was looking at what it taught. One of the things it meant was enrichment activities, advanced learning, project-based learning. If you look at the red where it's optional for K through 2, maybe just some of the things. I'll give you mine, but I was just looking at it and going, why couldn't we somehow? Because take what you just said about your emergency teachers. Any emergency teacher that can have a guest speaker or very qualified librarian step up to the plate and show even that teacher's learning. Do you see what I'm saying? And instead of, when you're looking at where it's blue, where it's introduced, it can be more than introduced in that third grade level to where we actually develop it by using that librarian. So the library sources that we have,
Yes,
if possible.
Yeah,
It's
no,
just-
that's definitely.
yeah, it was just something
yeah.
I picked up on
Yeah.
while sitting here, looking at the two, looking at this data. I'm very data driven, and when I was looking at this data, I think if we could at least, maybe pull it away from being optional, at least by second grade.
Yes, ma'am.
So that you could at least introduce it to those second graders that might be ready for it.
Right, and I think
thought.
you're right. It does speak to it, but thank you, Board Member Keith, because of the acceleration, and that's what Dr. Bird's been preaching since he's been here. So it's embedded in there, but you're right. We pushed it down a little bit more on the kindergarten.
Yeah, I'm glad you did
because,
that.
Because some cases, and this is just in terms of probably expectations previously, but sometimes they start, in kindergarten, the students don't get access until maybe January because there's some skills, but we can expect kindergarten to do more. It's all about expectations. So if we move that expectation up and give that acceleration early, I think you're going to see those results. But we definitely, with your feedback, I appreciate that. We'll take it back and make sure. But I'm glad that you mentioned the librarian because they are a part of literacy. Very important to that. And I'm a firm believer, if students are not touching the books, reading the books, then you definitely will not see or develop a love of reading. Right. But we are joined at the hip when it comes to that. So I'm so glad that she got an opportunity to present that, to show that 2.0. I like that.
That's what I was going to say. Reminder, she's 2.0 if they should say no.
But thank you for that feedback, and we definitely will add that too. Thank you so much.
Kyle and Ms. Portis.
Thank you. I would really hope, I know that Dr. Mackey is trying to pull teachers out of retirement. We have the opportunity to pull seasoned teachers, master teachers out of retirement, bring them into these non-certified or emergency certified teachers and help them learn the pedagogy of teaching.
Yes, ma'am.
I think we need to really look at that very seriously, because they can spend the morning or the afternoon with a teacher, and that speaks volumes. That would go a long way in helping on the ground, boots on the ground, side-by-side collaboration.
Sure.
Thank you.
Dr. Bird, may I?
Sure,
That's
go
it?
ahead.
Okay, so Dr. Bird is way ahead. I've already met with the retired teacher coordinator to be working with us to do just what you just spoke of. And again, it's a part of that tiered approach wherever we see the greatest needs, but you do have experienced retired teachers that know not only the theory of teaching, but actually know how to practice it. Then again, if a classroom management is a big issue. So, but retired teachers bring a lot of value. We have used them in math, but I've already started that conversation today. You will see some of that. So thank you, Board Member Cloud, for reinforcing that. But we really appreciate that feedback.
Possibly just some and one thing I want to suggest, if you'll remember back in the day, we had the make and take sessions. You would get your expert teachers. And I'm telling you, I've said this a million times, I would be a volunteer retired teacher. Because you'd have experts in math, experts in reading, I'm an expert in creativity, in writing, and all that kind of stuff. So if y'all ever thought about going back and doing some PD where you could call in I don't cost anything. I'm free. It would be a conflict of interest if you paid me, but I'd love to do it.
We need to vet some of these retired teachers. You cannot have everybody that left the job come. We don't make Johnny sit down like these new laws do. Yeah, right. But Dr. King, I did want to ask you about, I noticed that you had the reading specialist, the expectations for the reading specialist. And I was just thinking, as Dr. Keith brought up, about the emergency search, because one of the first things they're going to have to learn how to do is read data. They're not going to understand that and how it applies.
Sure.
So is there any help in that building from that?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, you say it.
No, that is a part of, will be a part of the plan about the data, because everything is driven by the data.
Right.
What we were just waiting on is the actual embargo data, what we would have specifically by each school where the data points are, and then to target that. So, and we also, there's an expectations to include that in our principal leadership, those data meetings, and it is also embedded within our reading specialists, those coaching cycles, and especially at the math. The math is probably, I've seen that, and that's an expectation where the math coaches actually sit down with the teachers, and so ARI, we could sort of use some of that as well, some of those strategies to kind of be more targeted towards the reading piece of that. But to your point, the answer is yes. We do intend to make sure that data does drive even the instruction. Because one part of instruction, if you're in a classroom, it really is when you're introducing Tier 1 instruction, the students respond to it differently. And those students that initially get the Tier 1, they should be moved to reading independent work, while small group instructions occurs with those students who did not respond to that Tier 1 instruction. So it's always the teacher looking at that data point, and sometimes data could happen within the classroom, within a setting, but this data, like you get from the outside, could be used to actually give them a heads up of what those students are. And it's also looking at the cohort data as well, because we looked at the second graders who are now third graders. So we can look at that particular data and then let the teachers know, hey, these are some of the deficiencies and how we can prove that. But to your point, yes, ma'am. And we can always get better also.
Yeah. And the action plan this will be the action plan. I know it'll be tweaked. I know it's a living document. But when we get to summer school, these expectations will be the same, regardless of how many days summer school lasts.
Yeah, well, with summer school, we're thinking about more acceleration, because we're not going to have a lot of students in summer school if we follow this plan. But so it's a little different. But but yes, ma'am.
I would like to see MTSS get started after the progress report. That tells us what we need to do to track over to get these children instead of waiting until the end of the 9 weeks, because like I've said, y'all have heard me say it before, it becomes an autopsy instead of a triage intervention. We've got to get them in MTSS plans as quickly as possible so they can regroup, relearn, whatever it takes to move them back over to that pathway. Thank you.
Yeah, and we are, yeah.
After the first 9 weeks.
Yeah.
What would be wrong with a rollover?
Yeah.
Just like Ms. Smith was saying, because you know where they left you.
Right.
And if you assess them when they get to school, maybe they caught that gap in the summer somehow.
And you're all giving us, some great ideas. We also intend to start the extended day a lot earlier. We started late this time, but part of it is we're looking at additional grant funds that we could start a lot earlier, a lot sooner. But thank you for your ideas, and we would add that, and I took notes on that.
I do have a few questions, and I'll try to kind of condense them a little bit. One of my questions is, how will you measure mastery of those foundational reading skills in the first 9 weeks and beyond?
Well, we use the diagnostic. We use a diagnostic tool that's by the state. So we use the diagnostic, it's an iReady diagnostic tool there. So that's what we use, and we'll continue to use that particular piece. For comprehension, we measure that. We can do additional comprehension exams using our progress learning. So we have those tools available.
And my next question is, let's see, what support structures are in place for new or struggling teachers as far as professional development? Will it be targeted specifically for their needs? In
a great question. We have, in terms of had those early discussions with our PD department. They are specifically looking at new teacher PD that will be specific, but also those teachers that have those specific needs. That's where our ed specialists come into play. So we could deploy our ed specialists. We happen to have 3 plus the coaches, but we could deploy them specifically to address needs that we have identified or teachers that are struggling in those areas.
And that goes back to what they were saying, especially with our new teachers and our teachers who are not currently certified but may be working on that certification. My next question is about the student progress and differentiation. How do we accelerate students who are on grade level without neglecting those who are behind? Because at the same time, we're working with those.
Right, great question. And it's similar to what I described. Like in a classroom, like there are students that are already ahead beyond. And so that's why it's important that, first of all, in the classroom, having more difficult, challenging text, and then also you can supplement that with access to the library where those students are really reading more challenging text. Or so it really happens with differentiation in terms of a classroom. I'm not saying like that's in all of the classroom, but that's what should happen. So you could tell if a kid is already reading or in that initial engagement, then it's like those students should be given more independent, challenging work. So that's how that's what the classroom should look like. But also the extension of that is the media center, because that's a great way to get students more access to content that may be more challenging than what's in the classroom.
And my next question, and there will be a few, so bear with me. This is for the new teachers who are new to the profession, as well as those teachers who are coming in working on certification, which we call non-certified. Are there going to be lesson plans or models provided for complex literacy skills, because there are going to be some advanced skills that they just have not been prepared to address in the classroom, especially when you're talking about accelerated learners?
Yes, ma'am. I know we provide all of our frameworks for all of the teachers and the lesson plans, But what I'll do, I will just look at to see what specifically when it comes to those complex skills and our teaching strategy that are needed. But we do provide all of the frameworks that are aligned with the ARI as well as our curriculum that we use. Great question, though.
And the last one, well, maybe next to the last one, how will we define and assess mastery of those foundational skills by the end of the first 9 weeks and the other preceding 9 weeks?
Well, you can define that specifically by the standards, and that's at any point, ninth grade. You look at the standards, and you give an assessment based on the standards that are particular at that particular period. So that, and again, you could accomplish that through our progress learning check that way.
And in those programs, they already, I mean, once they, and I'm trying to remember going back a little far, but they'll usually take some type of assessment test, and then benchmarks will be set in there.
Right. Well, we do the diagnostic, which is what required by the state in K-3. But all the rest you could do, you could use the progress learning, because progress learning is based on all the standards. So we have those, and we normally have a formative assessment cycle, which kind of what you're speaking to, and we could do that every 9 weeks. The other thing we have done previously, we did what are called core, where we could give all of the schools the same assessment to see how well those students are doing in various schools. So we do have that capacity as well. And we've done it in a couple of times. We've done it on this a couple of times, but we've done that also.
And that was the last question. Thank you, Dr. King.
I have one more thing.
One more,
Dr.
Ms.
King.
Gordon.
I'm sorry.
And I have one after you.
You said we're waiting on to get the data to start planning. Is that what you said?
No, we just have, in terms of the Bargo data, no, we've already planning, looking at what we have.
Right, okay.
And yeah, it's just the releasing of the data will give us more specific of what standards we're weak in. For example, like it'll tell you what are the domains particularly, and it speaks to, even in those domains, what are some of the instructional implications there. And so when you look at it from that perspective, it gives us more targeted, okay, this is where we were, by these domains, we're weak. So consistently, like when you look at grades 2nd through 8, just from last year, our weak area was one of it was informational text and comprehension across the board. In math, it was, algebraic expression and some of that. So that'll just give us more like laser-like focus on those particular standards that we are showing some weaknesses.
What our assessment department releases is not, I know embargo is released to the public, but it's not as targeted as what we will get.
Right, because it's not, we can't release all of it. Yeah, that's why. Now the schools have access; they can go in and look at their own particular data in the portal. We could see it, but when it comes to when we make public, then that's where we could. I mean, when we're able to make public, then you'll see those indicators. Like you could see where we've weakened. Great questions, though.
I like what you said about principals as should be instructional leaders and not building managers. They're going to have to be walking in those classrooms and observing and getting those teachers what they need immediately.
Yes, ma'am.
Calling the troops to help them be helped in getting, you can write a lesson plan all day long, you can give a template, but it's the execution of the lesson plan that counts.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Dr. King. You're here again for the Executive Director of Federal Programs job description.
No, we got student grievance.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, and
I'm sorry, I skipped over
Jamie has
here.
a lot more hair
Literacy
than-
plan overview,
Yes.
done that. So we're at student grievance policy. I do apologize.
Yeah, I'm presenting them in Jamie's absence. So what we're here is just to update the grievance policy procedures and that's what you have in front of you. And so basically, the revised policy is under review with a focus strengthening the procedural clarity and reducing risk exposure to both the board and MPS overall. So specifically, we are revising the chain of command to ensure grievances are addressed and resolved at the appropriate administrative levels. This protects the integrity of the decision-making process and helps avoid potential conflict of interest or compromising the board position in the future appeals or legal matters. So we are just wanted to change that to what you see in front of you. I think it's policy 4.9.3.
Yes, Ms. Cloud?
I would like to add something to this, please. I think it should have within 30 days the grievance being cited. I think that we don't need to let this move past 30, 60 at the most, because that gives it to a level of frustration, and that's where we tend to stump our toes. So I'd like for it to be in the actual policy within 30 days. This is moving forward, whatever the decision is made.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a consideration too, but for the sake of time, I'll just send it to you and your team for your consideration.
Dr. Key?
Okay, I just had one question on the reclassification job description for the Director of Early Learning.
Oh, we haven't
We
got
haven't got to
that
that?
yet.
Okay, I thought I missed it, so I was like, okay, good deal. Just don't want to miss it. I thought you were leaving. Go ahead.
All right, is that it on the grievance policy? All right, now our next agenda item will be from Dr. King with reclassification job descriptions for the Director of Early Learning to Director of Pre-K.
Yes, okay. So the purpose of this classification is to align our school improvement efforts in elementary schools to improve student achievement in reading, math, science, and social studies. But we are changing the approach to provide school more direct engagement with school-based upon a tiered system of support. And then based on our 24-25 subtest scores, we showed a 6% decline from last year, and that's what informed the literacy plan that I just presented. As a direct result of that, we must focus our effort to ensure all pre-K students are kindergarten ready, especially with those early literacy and math skills. And so one proposal to address that is to reclassify the Director of Early Learning position to a Director of Pre-K position. And the part of that is the job descriptions for the Director of Pre-K have been updated to include supervise and evaluate pre-kindergarten staff, including but not limited to the assistant principal, the pre-K specialist, HIPPY coordinator, teachers, and administrative secretaries. That was not as a part of the early learning job duties for whatever reason. And then provide weekly chief academic officer reports on the pre-K programs, knowing how well, and I think you all spoke to data points that we could use to be better informed of how those students are performing, and develop a budget to support all pre-K programs. What we have done, we sort of split funded those with Title I and state funds, and so it really is to get more balanced approach to that. And then ensure all pre-kindergarten, AL, the state, the Department of Early Learning, Title I, HIPPY, and other financial grants, and our academic performance report are submitted before the due dates. And I think that gives us a lot of opportunities to know where our kids are and when we receive them in kindergarten. And then it also oversee and administer the pre-kindergarten assessment, analyzing results and collaborate, develop improvement plan. And that's the kind of the role of the director. And so equally important, and we have, in terms of my office, we have looked at all the positions to see if there's an overlap of duties. And in this case, the Director of Early Learning job duties and responsibility, it does overlap with the Executive Director of Curriculum and Instruction. And part of that is the Executive Director of Curriculum and Instruction leads, evaluates, and directs the work of all educational specialists. But currently, there are 2 educational specialists, probably a third one that actually the Director of Early Learning oversees. And so part of this is to make sure we focus the pre-K director over pre-K, and then because we have a number of classes, including a location at McKee, to make sure we're providing the leadership and support there, while which is what currently is happening, is where the executive director continues to oversee all of the specialists. And part of that is also making sure our approach is different, and that we're trying, well, it's not trying, but our approach is to mobilize our specialists to where the support is needed, so to accomplish equity that way. So those are the rationale for this, and currently, like I say, the executive director of curriculum instruction meets with all specialists and collaborates, and ensure the work is aligned to to support school improvement initiatives. And this is a part of also looking at analyzing all of the positions, but and then strategically utilizing people's strength to better move us in a better, move us to where we are showing more improvement.
What's the fund source for this?
I think it's general funds. General funds.
Thank
Oh, it's split between OSR and general funds.
OSR, that's what I got.
Madam President? My question on that, it was, you kind of, which I jumped the gun on it, but you kind of said something about the overlapping. And so this is like repurposing. This reclassification is repurposing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if you're changing some of the things, and you said you had like a 6% decline, okay? If you kind of look, deeper, like tunnel vision, and you look like what's some of the reason when you're changing some of these things, some of that overlapping could be some of the problem, okay? Because example, if you had your K through 2, and then you have already had somebody doing, like your third already, why join them? What I'm saying, I'm not asking for an answer. It's just something to look into, because I think when you're changing things, if you change the structure, think about how deep kindergarten is. Think how much is really in that kindergarten component. That's huge. Okay, that's the start. That's your letters, phonics. And if you kind of narrowed it down K through 2, it was just me thinking, and then you did the, like that. It's just kind of change some of the structure of it. I think it may help.
Thank you for the feedback.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, too, I would like to add, board members, and also, unfortunately, what in the latest job description wasn't uploaded to Assembly, we did actually add some KPIs to this position this weekend, but unfortunately, the old one was actually added, but we'll make sure that we get that to you all tonight or tomorrow. But this position will also have KPIs included in it as well.
And then that will clear up the overlapping.
Yes, ma'am. That'll clear up the overlapping piece. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Our next agenda item, Dr. King, will be Executive Director of Federal Programs, job description.
All right. Okay. All right, thank you. Yeah, I wanted to just share with you in terms of when we initially thought about the Director of Federal Programs, once I would say Jason, he's here, but once Jason, came on board, there were a number of things that we had blind spotting in. And so what we noticed that, and some of the job duties and responsibility, you heard some of it today in preparation for compliance, but there has been just a great added collaboration with the chief, with Pamela, regarding federal programs to ensure that there is federal programs in the supplement position that we should be in, and to make sure that all of our funding sources are used appropriately. And so we've added also additional collaboration with other district level administrators, so that when you hear that teamwork and collaboration, that has happened, as opposed to federal programs sitting in isolation. The other thing is there's added collaboration between not only internal stakeholders, but also external stakeholders. And part of that, you've already saw the access, the application for the GAP grant, getting access to that, and then actually the grant was written, and then we already received the highest amount in those two grants. And so, and I can't stress this enough, but the added training and support advisory service for district level staff, especially principals. And as you described, and his part of his team is here, that team, and I could say this even before, but they work tirelessly to support principals and to explain some nuances of the federal programs, which is allowable and what is not allowable. And that's not always a pleasant conversation. But it has helped. And then the other thing that was, I think will speak to getting parent voice is how we think about family involvement and how should it be funded moving forward. So being conscious about that, and then also consolidating the roles and responsibilities under federal program, because it was kind of spread out, but it had different funding streams. So part of this is to also include the ESSA requirement compliance, and then even though we no longer have ESSA funds, there still is a compliance component of that will come. So the other added piece that we didn't know at the time was the charter school compliance and communication from the federal perspective. In our role, overseeing charter school compliance is huge because they are expected to follow federal program rules and regulation as any other, like we are. So to have that expertise and actually being able to give the letter of concerns or the memos is really huge for us support. And then the other piece that is critical, even though this wasn't a focus, but when you look at federal inventory of COVID relief funding, and I know we had some, a little concerns because of the freezing of federal funds, but we anticipate that when you are thinking about what was already spent, making sure we have the inventory of those funds that were expended already. So that is backwards. We have to go back and make sure we're looking at that. And then the other thing is like the budget support that principals are having, and we're creating technical assistance documents to provide support to local schools to ensure they focus on programmatic needs instead of fiscal. And fiscal is like, here's the source, but we do have to focus on the school improvement and just putting principals in their expertise and while giving them technical assistance on how you can use these funds. And that takes time in terms of training. And so currently, these are things that will be a benefit to us, but I just wanted to show you why this position is, FAQs on developing FAQs on federal regulation topics that I think would be beneficial to principals, memos for non-compliance, budget templates, and the RFP process, which the RFP process is going to go a long way with the district and limit the risk to the school board because you always have to have an RFP if it's over $250,000. So therefore, we're putting in process already talking about that, and that takes a little more time to actually when you're using federal programs. And so training sessions, again, developing that will be complete. Class Wallet, which is a different tool we use to purchase things, but that's closely monitored as well to make sure we're in compliant. And personnel changes and consolidation, which I spoke to earlier, is really to restructure the positions and making sure the positions are actually are aligned with what federal compliance calls for. And that's one of the things why you see parent engagement, because there's specific things we should be doing about parent engagement in the schools. And so so we need to support there. So those are some of the things that we're doing. So we're increasing staff capacity through training. EGGR is one of the biggest things. It's like the Bible of how we spend federal dollars, and it's different from the state. And that distinction is very important as we explain why Some things may be allowed at the state in terms of your of your contracts, but yet it's not appropriate at the federal level. So these are some of the things that we are putting in focus. And then again, we are, we are very aggressive now, and even more so looking at grants and opportunities. When you look at the 21st Century Grant, that could bring a number of after-school programs that you all speak of, the STEM focus, those things that the young lady was acknowledged for, that could be funded. All we need is someone to actually lead that work, write it, and then we could then enhance that. So the other thing about that is that it is going to attract more students to Montgomery Public Schools when you have these kinds of programs. So these are the things as to why I'm recommending to change that position from a director to executive director, and I just wanted to share those thoughts with you tonight.
Thank you, Dr. King. Our next one will be from Dr. Kathleen Williams, job description for Executive Director of Special Education and job description for Executive Director of Student Support, as well as job description for Director of Student Wellness and Culture.
Good evening, Board President, Board members, Dr. Byrd. My first task is to talk to you about the recommendation for changing our Director of Special Education position to an Executive Director of Special Education. And the rationale for that is that it will align better with how we are moving forward with creating more accountability for the expectations within the district, especially in this area around the implementation of IDEA. Through this shift, we will be able to better monitor what is happening in schools, what is happening in schools, and how we use our data strategically to identify professional development and identify where we have problem areas and provide more targeted technical assistance around those areas. In addition, we will, through this position, we will create an opportunity for special education to collaborate more intentionally with the Office of Academics and Innovation and Curriculum so that we can align what is happening for our traditional students with what is happening for our students that have disabilities. In the job posting that you received, you see that the indicators for this position fall within the areas of compliance and how we are ensuring that we are aligned with state and federal requirements and that our school teams are in compliance with district expectations. In the area of program effectiveness, evaluating the various programs that we have within our special education platform, what's working well for our students with disabilities, as well as where we have areas to improve. Continuing with the leadership focus and working with our leaders, continuing to increase our stakeholder engagement, especially in the area of bringing in our parents of students with disabilities and continuing to empower those families so that we are meeting the needs for both parents and students. Managing the fiscal dollars that are assigned to us, and similarly to what Dr. King referenced, applying for any opportunity with grants so that we can continue to be innovative with what we provide for our students with disabilities within the district. And then lastly, making sure that what we provide within our MPS platform is efficient.
Next one will be the Director of Student Support.
The recommendation is for the Director of Student Support to become an Executive Director position. And the rationale for this is that this change will allow, again, in the vein of increasing accountability around the big rocks for this, I can't even talk, I need some water. For this specific position, it is in the areas of discipline and enrollment and attendance. And you've heard in previous presentations that as a district, we are looking at how we continue the path that we are on with decreasing chronic absenteeism. In our shifting this position, we will be able to provide more technical assistance to the schools that have already been tiered in those areas of problems or low problems, and how we are engaging our stakeholders and our parents and educating our parents about the importance of children being in school daily. What you will see that is different within this position, student support, and how we have attacked attendance, how we have attacked enrollment, and how we have attacked discipline has been in a silo, if you will. Through this change in the position, it requires collaboration from that department with departments throughout the district so that we're speaking one voice around the expectations, supporting our students being enrolled without any barriers regarding of what they're coming to us with, as well as us implementing our discipline expectations consistently across the district. Similarly to the other one, you received the KPIs for this position, and it includes, again, compliance. How are we compliant with state expectations in those key areas, along with how are we supporting our school teams when we find that there is an issue with them being compliant. Continuing to dig into our data to identify where our discipline trends are and how we can be proactive in providing interventions around those key areas. Involving our families proactively to help them understand the policies within the district and what their rights are throughout, as well as collaborating with others so that this becomes a district focus and a district message.
And our next one, thank you, Dr. Wilson. The next one will be the Director of Student Wellness and Culture.
This is a new position that is being brought to you. This position, again, is aligned with the goals that have been identified not only in Dr. Byrd's 100-day plan, but also the district strategic plan, as we have a focus of continuing to build a nurturing and responsive culture within our schools. Through this position, we will also be able to streamline all of the wellness resources that we have available within our district so that we can ensure each school, whenever there's a need, is capitalizing on what's available not only within district, but what's available within our community. Through this person, if it is approved, it will also give us the opportunity to be more proactive in providing that Tier 1 support to new teachers when classroom management issues have been identified, when coaching is needed. Because as of right now, there is not an opportunity for dedicated strategic coaching to happen. So this person would be able to help with that and work with school teams to build that. This person would also be able to work with our administrators and teachers to build models that are responsive to kids and models that will foster us providing a culture of children being restored to good graces and success within school versus a punitive side. The KPIs, and my apologies, we had already posted, and you did not get the job posting that had the KPIs, but I'll update that this week. But the KPIs for this the position is around decreasing our student discipline incidents within the district. We are on a downward trend, and we want to continue to do so, and we want to meet children where they are and help them to continue to be more successful. To help the district not only implement, but integrate what we are doing from a PBIS, wellness, and MTSS standpoint, as well as provide the necessary training for staff and administrators around restorative practices.
There is one question, Ms. Portis.
One person is going to do this?
No, ma'am, not by themselves.
Okay.
One person is going to lead the charge with a team of people that we have in district.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any additional questions?
Ms.
Cloud.
I'm so thankful we are really looking at PBIS strategically, because positive behavior is what we're wanting and not punitive, and I'm proud of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, any additional questions? All right, thank you, Dr. Williamson.
Thank you.
Our next agenda item will be from Ms. Pamela Watkins, 2025 proposed new and/or transfer positions.
Good evening again. So now how are we going to fund some of those positions? I've been working collaboratively with Dr. Byrd, federal programs, some of our other departments to talk about how we can make some of these positions actually happen. The first set of positions, and I think you all have a spreadsheet there, PowerPoint. The first set of positions, and I'll just go through them, are going to be the ones that Dr. Williamson just talked through, as well as, one of the ones Dr. Williamson talked through, an executive director of middle school, director of student wellness, and social workers. Those positions will be funded out of ad valorem funding source. As you're aware, part of the campaign and lobbying of those funds would be used, half would be used to support capital, the other half would be used to support instructional and educational needs of our district at the time. We started receiving those funds last fiscal year, and with those funds, we have actually followed the summary of needs that was introduced at the time that those funds were solicited by the public, supporting positions like music teachers in all of our elementary and high secondary schools, arts programs in all of our elementary and secondary schools, providing additional assistant principal support to our schools, providing advanced placement and IB support to our high schools, and foreign language in our schools, just to name a few. There's a line item within that as well as that to provide director level support. So that will help support the executive director of middle school. And then also there's a line item within that to provide other trauma-focused and social-emotional support, which is where the director of student wellness and culture. When the plan was developed, there were 4 positions for that. 2 of them have been filled and so are being used, and so one of the positions will support that director of student wellness. Additionally, there are social workers that are needed in our schools. In the original plan, there was written in the ad valorem summary of needs to provide 10 social workers throughout the district. Currently, we have provided 4, leaving 6 of those positions to be filled. Dr. Williamson will start with 3, and we will see how that will work throughout the district. She's going to provide support. Additional social work support will be provided to our schools throughout the district. And so again, these positions will be funded from the ad valorem funding source.
I have a question. Did I miss the executive director of middle? Where's the job description? Did I miss that? We don't.
It's a job position that we already have. It's a job description that we already have. Currently, it's called executive director K-12. It's a position that is already in existence.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now we're going to have a elementary, middle, and high school executive director. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I thought I missed something.
The next set of positions were actually approved at the last board meeting. An executive director, and actually just mentioned in this work session, executive director of student support. The customer service specialist was approved during the last board meeting, I believe. The chief of strategic partnership and director of communications. Those positions will be funded out of the general funding source. As federal programs spoke earlier, we have been in collaboration with federal programs. There are educational specialists that work throughout our district to support our schools in their specialty area. Those positions were funded 50% general fund, 50% title. In working with Mr. Isaacs, those positions will now be funded 88% title, 12% general fund, because we had one school that is not a title school. With that, that created an approximate savings of about $545,000. I have gone in and estimated the cost, as you can see in the spreadsheet, of the changes in additional positions here that will be funded out of the general fund, and it utilizes about half of the savings this fiscal year as it relates to the funds that we will save by strategically shifting the funding to 80% federal or title and leaving 12% in general fund. Moving along, there is a position that already exists in our district that is a zone coordinator for special education. The zone coordinator, and I will not attempt to explain what they do. I'll leave that for special education. However, the district currently has 5 zone coordinators that go out and support the special education needs or the special education department. Although our enrollment has decreased over the years, our need for our special education students have increased, creating a need for an additional zone coordinator. That position will be funded out of the RAISE Act. The RAISE Act is new funding that all districts throughout the state will receive this year. RAISE stands for Renewing Alabama's Investment in Student Excellence. With those funds, we will receive an allocation for poverty, which will take the place of most of our at-risk funds. We'll receive a line item for SPED, one for ELL, which will replace our ELL state allocation, and one for gifted that will also replace our state allocation for gifted. And so with those SPED funds, as well as supporting the SPED program, it will allow for them to add the additional zone coordinator. The next is the position that was just, I think, explained by Dr. King, the Executive Director of SPED, or I'm sorry, Dr. Williamson. And this will be a reclassification. This will be funded out of SPED, which the position currently is. The anticipated cost, I think you see on your spreadsheet, and that is probably a conservative proposed amount on there. It won't be any more than what's listed there. The approximate cost, it's not, you can't see it here, but it should maybe increase that approximately $20,000. That would be an additional cost out of the SPED funding allocation, the federal SPED funding allocation. Lastly are the positions that are proposed to impact our federal funding source. Mr. Isaacs spoke of the school improvement specialists and compliance monitors, as well as Dr. King, that they will be adding to support our federal programs department, as well as the executive director of federal programs. These positions will be funded out of our Title I funds and our Title I CSI funds. There's been a projected estimate of the cost of these positions, and after talking with Mr. Isaacs and working with him, the Title I CSI should be able to support these positions indefinitely. Any questions?
Any questions? I do have just maybe not a correction, I mean a question, but a correction. So instead of instead of 5 zone coordinators, I believe there are 3 zone coordinators. So
okay. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I misspoke, I'm sorry. So yes, 3 zone coordinators, and so now there will be 4 to support the efforts of the special education department.
All right, any additional questions? All right, thank you, Ms. Watkins. Our next agenda item will be brought to us by Ms. Pamela Portis, Family and Engagement Committee update.
This is going to be quick since I didn't do all my homework. But as you know, we have been working on, the Family Engagement Committee has been working with Dr. Daniels diligently trying to make sure that we do, one of the things we wanted to make sure we do, and is an initiative of Dr. Byrd as well as the board, is to beef up our family engagement structure. We can do a much better job. We've identified some areas that we want to focus on. And one of the main things we talked about was getting a location. Well, Chad identified for us the old Bellinger Hills building, which is going to work really well for us. There's offices there, there's a common area there. We are working right now. The advisory team for this committee has already been put in place. The facility, we have the facility. They are cleaning it now. The setup is going on. We're going to beg Chad for some AC units from somewhere, because we know he may find a few in the district and we won't have to buy any. But we are, there's office rooms in that building for board members if they so choose. This may give them an opportunity to meet with their committees inside the building. One of the things that I have talked with Dr. Byrd about is a soft opening. How are we going to let the community know that this is coming? How are we going to let our stakeholders know that here's an opportunity to provide assistance and help? One of the first things we identified we needed to do is have a resource roundup. We want to know who in the city wants to help. What do they? There are so many small businesses, so many nonprofits that do great things. And they think for some reason we're large, so we don't need the help. We want to dispel that and let them know they're invited, they're welcome, and we need their help. So that'll be one of the first things we do. We'll get on Dr. Byrd's calendar, hopefully, the last week in the month. Next week we're in conference, so the next week we'll get on his calendar to find out what a soft opening looks like. Now, different people think different things. I'm thinking barbecue grills, bouncy houses, lots of people, and music. That may or may not happen, but I think it needs to be that important. I think it needs to be, we will work, we have some partners that have already reached out to us to help. We'll be looking as soon as the new partnership person is in place to help with some partnerships and get this idea open. One of the things that we talked about as a committee is ideas for transportation. There are people in this city, how will they get to us? We want to look at all those avenues, hours of operation. We also are looking forward to the secretary position that will be filled because we need help. And so that person will lend some assistance to the board. And now this undertaking will not replace what goes on in schools. So we won't take anything from the schools. This is just adding to it. This is just, we want our parents to be able to go to the schools. We want our schools to be able to plan for them. But when there are other things, when there's other things we can do, reading initiatives, not only for students, but for parents. Long goal is we would like to at some time offer GED classes for parents in that building. So we do have some long goals. The short goals is to get it up, running, get it in the public, get everybody anticipating it, and then open the building and do great things for our community.
Thank you, Ms. Portis. Are there any questions? All right. Our next agenda item is new business. Does anyone have any new business? Dr. Key.
Just a reminder that I want, it's not an update, but I keep working on that committee for the new teachers, especially the non-certified. And I've mainly been looking at, why is there such low retention? Why is there such turnout? We've talked about policies, changing policies, so I definitely want to make sure that when that policy committee is put together, it's not that I really want to be on it, but I would be on it to make sure that that would like motivate me to be on that policy committee, because I'm big on that. But I also, looked in and called some of the universities around here to find out. I looked at the programs to see what does it cost for the alternative program. We're looking at $18,000. That right there is a turnoff. And I'd heard that there was a possibility of maybe funds, maybe helping these teachers, but I also found out that there is an alternative program other than the 18,000. Now, it's more for your CTE end of it, but it's just some things I think we should look into for retaining these teachers. And, even the PD that I talked about earlier, I can't tell you how important it is to me for that component to not just go to the back. That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Keith. Ms. Cloud?
I would, Ms. Jones, I would like an update on the Carter Starks Chapel dedication and where we are right there, when it's going to be, and if anything's changed, please. Aren't you leading that?
Good evening, Madam President, board members, and Dr. Byrd. We did have a tentative date, but I received an update where we are going to speak to Dr. Byrd, I do believe, the principal, Dr. Ruffin, and then also an organization that supports the school. So I just got that update, I do believe, on Monday, or maybe like Friday or Thursday. So I will review that, and then I will get the updates to Dr. Byrd, and he will probably have it in your board connection this week, Dr. Byrd? Maybe by early next week.
Are you talking about FAME?
Fame, yes. I
Yes.
didn't want to say lamplighters. My goodness,
No,
I'm
you're talking
sorry.
about
So they
fame.
run some, yeah.
Okay.
Fame, yes, ma'am. So I
Well,
know that
the tentative date was supposed to be August 29th. New teachers are trying to get in the building. I would really, if possible, like to have it before school gets started, because that's going to be like a three-ring circus. I want the dedication to be formal enough and auspicious enough that these two individuals that have worked so hard for this program to be really, truly acknowledged.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
I
you.
think we'll bring everyone to the table. Is that correct, Dr. Byrd?
Yes, that's correct.
And make sure that everyone's voice is heard, and then get that update over to the board. Sounds good?
Yes.
All righty.
And if I may chime in, I just want to say that I know some of the work you mentioned, Jay, but Mr. Anderson is also involved in that process. And I know with so much going on with the 100-day plan and the opening of school, we want to make sure that it's done at a time that's convenient. So if we don't make the August 29th deadline, I'm sure that there will be some earlier dates, probably in September, we could look at. But just to get everything underway. So I appreciate their patience, and I think they're understanding and knowing what we have going on. So we'll get there. All right, Ms. Portis.
I know we've requested it before. I just want to request it again. We enter this critical time every time with employment and how we get them on board, how we keep them on board. And I just really want to request an onboarding process. I want to see I know a lot of it's automated, but I want to see the timeline from when they come to us, what happens. Because I know we're in July, and I know there are people out there looking for September checks. And then we sit in board meeting and say we have open positions, and then you hear that somebody's has already looked for that job. So I just want to make sure that the process is where it is. If it's a problem, we'll write a policy. We'll get you what you need, but I would like to see something that says this is what we do each and every time. Thank you.
Definitely get that process explained. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, and then just mine is new business, but with updates, the board will we'll have a board self-assessment with AASB August 21st from 4 to 6, and we will begin once I speak with Dr. Byrd on planning our board retreat so that we can also get updates on things that are happening in the district. That concludes this. All right, there will be another special call meeting in 2 weeks, July 22nd, same place, at the same time, I know, right? 5 o'clock in the training room 1. We'll have our regular scheduled board meeting August 12th at 5 o'clock here in the regular board meeting training room number 1. With no further business, this meeting is now adjourned. I know, 'cause